to Balanced Health. Hi, I'm Shirley Rose, and this is Joe Costello. You know, if you Google the term healthy lifestyle, get this, you get 11 million links. Google good health, and you get 49 million more. With the overwhelming amount of information available, is it possible to boil living a healthy, balanced life down to a manageable list of key principles? Well, thankfully, the answer is yes. Joe and his team at Kylea have identified what they call the 7 pillars of health. While these pillars are not an exhaustive list of everything you can do, following them is a simple guide which solidly place you on the road to better health. Today, Joe is going to walk us through the 7 pillars, but first, it's time for one of our favorite segments, and that is Nutrition in the News. Joe?
Well, Shirley, today we're trying to combining a myth and nutrition in the news at the same thing. And the myth part of it is the sun. Moderate sun exposure offers more health benefits than risks, particularly for people who are deficient in vitamin D or who live in colder northern latitudes. This is according to U.S. and Norwegian researchers. They found that people in northern latitudes produce significantly less vitamin D than people nearer to the equator. Specifically, they found Australians produce 3.4 times more vitamin D than people in the U.S. and almost 5 times more vitamin D than Scandinavians. Meanwhile, rates of major cancers such as colon, lung, breast, and prostate increased from north to south, while survival rates decreased from north to south. Previous studies suggest that vitamin D may protect against cancer by discouraging out-of-control cell reproduction and hindering the formation of new blood vessels for tumors.
That is just amazing. We've heard so much about vitamin D. Actually, on several of our shows, we've been talking about vitamin D. Is this really getting to be common knowledge how valuable it is for us?
It's becoming commonplace knowledge, Shirley. And here, really, today was about vitamin D, but it was really just as more about the sun. And you saw the references there to the equator or living in more northern latitudes.
God help us here in Chicago. We never see the sun.
We have our challenges here. One of the things you'll find also, and the study was mostly about cancer, but multiple sclerosis is virtually non-existent and unheard of the closer you get to the equator.
You're kidding.
No. And multiple sclerosis now, we've mentioned vitamin D levels before in a previous show. And there's a test called hydroxy-25 that you can take to give your vitamin D level, and it should be in the high 40s. People with MS, it's in the low to mid 20s.
Wow. So they have half of what they need.
They have half of what they need. So it's huge.
That's really interesting. Well, we're talking today about the 7 pillars of health, and I know on this half-hour show we can't go into a lot of detail, but it's amazing that with all those millions of websites telling people how to live healthy, that you can boil them down to 7. What's the first one?
We're going to go over all 7 today, Shirley. We'll go over them briefly, but they'll be available on TLN's site and Kylea's site to get more detail. People will grab on to what this means. They can make major changes in their health without investing a nickel. Our first pillar is water. Now, people look at water and say, yeah, I know I need to drink it, you know, but there's so many things that they drink instead of it, like soda or coffee or tons of fruit juices. Surely water is something that if you just start your day, the first thing you do is put, 10 to 14 ounces of water in your empty intestines every day. That alone, pillar number 1, water. That alone will make a major difference in your health. It'll make a major difference in your elimination, which we're going to talk about as one of the pillars of health later. But that's just one component of water.
Well, that's interesting, and it's kind of controversial about how much we need. I think the rule is you need more than what we drink. Nobody drinks enough. But how much do we need?
Well, I think a lot of the quote-unquote alternative health pundits have gone too far the other way with that. A lot of them recommend, so if you weigh 200 pounds, they recommend 100 ounces. So it's a half an ounce of water per pound that you weigh. Use common sense. If you work out hard, like on the days when I work out 5 or 6 days a week. When I work out hard and I weigh about 215 pounds, I will take in at least 100, 110 ounces on those days. On the days when I'm not working out and I'm not losing all those fluids, I'll probably keep my water to 60, 70 ounces a day. Be careful not to overdrink too much. If you do go on a rampage and start drinking tons of water, make sure you take extra potassium and magnesium because you can flush the electrolytes right out of your body. And
you collapse.
And you can collapse. Wow. And so reverse osmosis is the type of filtration we recommend.
Good. Yeah, and that's very important because it's hard to get good water these days. Now, you said in the morning is a great time to drink it. Are there times when you shouldn't drink water?
I wouldn't drink it right after eating, or if you can, I wouldn't drink it with a meal because it washes away digestive enzymes.
Really?
Yep.
So I used to hear don't drink it because you don't chew your food well. So that's a myth too, right?
Yes, it is. Pillar number two.
Pillar number 2 is sleep, and that's obviously something we all need. How much do we need?
Shirley, we need about 8 hours a night, but that's common knowledge. Recently, I saw something on 60 Minutes. They are spending some big money, our government is, on sleep and how important it is to health. Listen to this. I think this is amazing. They did a study with rats, and with these rats, they deprived them of sleep for 5 days. And they used 5 days because that's how long it would take a rat without food to die. Okay? So they found out that without sleep, the rat died in a little over 4 days. So sleep is just as important as food. They also found this. If you and I have this conversation today, okay, and then you have a good night's sleep tonight, you sleep a good 8 hours, you have at least 3 or 4 hours of that REM, that rapid eye movement sleep, when you wake up tomorrow, you will actually have better recollection of our conversation today that we had today than you have of that conversation today. So there's a process when we sleep that our brain will basically take the day's activities and put it in files for you for when you're going to need it. So as you can see, when we don't get the sleep that we need, those things don't happen. And they had people in the study, Shirley, that they were depriving of sleep to the point where it was only 4 or 5 hours a day. And this one girl who they interviewed, she had this real high IQ and she was very educated and all this stuff. And they were interviewing her, and when they were interviewing her, she was pausing, and she was like, just
I can understand that.
And the lady asked her, "Do you think you're answering me?" She said, "Yeah, I think I'm answering you fine." And then they did tests on her driving and so on. So Shirley, sleep is as important as food. It's as important as water. You need some tips on sleeping. Pitch black room, as cold a temperature as you can possibly stand, as few covers as you can possibly stand, and then you add those covers throughout the night if you can, because what you want to do is lower your body temperature, and it'll sleep in a much more peaceful state. But keeping a pitch black room with no noise is really a couple keys and a couple tips for good sleeping.
And who do we all need 8 hours? I mean, this is the thing that I think is a myth too. I don't think we all need 8 hours, and many of us can't get 8 hours. But doesn't it vary with the person?
Well, what this study showed was that some people can do better than others on less, but that their performance, their own performance, being relative to themselves, was compromised with less than 8 hours of sleep. So you can't answer your question definitively, yes, you need 8 hours, but so some people will do better on 6 than others would do on 6, but the people even who do better on 6 than say you would do on 6 still do not do as well on 6 as they do on 8. You with me?
Yeah,
Am I making sense?
I'm with you. And in today's world, for young mothers out there, it's a pipe dream. But anyway, well, for more.
But the point is well taken.
The point, yes, exactly. But as much as you can get, that's what you want to get. Well, for more information on the 7 pillars of health, go to TLN.com and click on shows, and then on Balanced Health. Or to get a copy of today's show, give us a call at the number on your screen. And after the break, I'll show you one of my favorite recipes, buffalo stew. So stay tuned for some good down-home cooking. Joe's actually going to let me cook this time.
All right.
We'll be right back.